Hello, this is Dr. Jason Munsell. It is about 4:10 on Wednesday, July 23rd, if you're keeping count. This is going to be the recorded lecture for chapter 14, lecture 8. It will be in several parts, obviously, and the reason, I think I told you this, I'm uploading everything to YouTube, and it will only upload certain little segments, and that's why they are indeed segments. First, before I get into all of this, I have put several new things on KC, some links primarily, but also that link to the Academic Skills Center. I have put the new grading matrix for the upcoming final paper, but it is exactly like the grading matrix for the first paper, so you should be used to it now. And also I put several links there on for the lesson today. The links are on the PowerPoint, but also I've placed them in bookmarks as links as well, so you can find them in both places. I tried to supplement some of the things that this chapter said through some updated information and some information that I thought was very, very practical. Also, I wanted to reiterate, I've sent this email to you, but I don't know if you saw the news, but that there's this little kid, he's just turning 6 on Friday, but he has terminal cancer, and so all he wants for his birthday are a bunch of cards. So I'm giving you, what did I say, 3 points bonus? Maybe 5? I can be talked into anything. On your final paper, if you send this little lad a card and just email me and tell me that you have done so and you're on your honor, and if you actually tell me you did and didn't, shame on you, you're a terrible person. But in any case, I sent one earlier today. I also sent some truck stickers. So, and I thought it was appropriate just because, well, this is something I care deeply about, family situations and stuff like that. But also, you know, it's through CMC in a way that folks are learning about this particular story. It looks like it's been going viral on Facebook. So this poor little kid in Massachusetts could get, I don't know, thousands of cards that might, you know, sort of boost his morale a little bit. And it's all about health communication in a way, and it has, and it's all being done in a way through CMC, and then transferring back to the old-fashioned, just sending a birthday card, which I thought was pretty cool. But in any case, if you have the opportunity to do that, I know it's a little bit late at this time. Trying to get something there for his birthday on the 25th, but I'm sure he won't mind it if it comes on Saturday or next week. I would not think so. In any case, so those are some preliminary things, and again, let me know if I can help with that paper. I'm happy to look at rough drafts, as always. And I've explained the paper, I think, a few times, and so if you are still confused about what the paper is all about, by all means, email me or live chat me on Facebook, whatever I can do to help. But it's, again, exactly like the first paper, except this time you are applying material from the book, not material that you might find from a website or article from a website. Okay, so the doctor is in. Dr. Jason Munsell, PhD, piled higher and deeper. By the way, I lived in Georgia a while back. Right after I finished my PhD at LSU in 2000, I got a job in Georgia, and I was at this antique store, and I had, those were back when you actually used checks, and now I you know, hardly ever use checks. Everybody has their debit cards and everything like that, but I actually sit on my check, Dr. Jason Munsell, and so the woman taking my money when I bought chairs, you know, asked, well, you know, what kind of medical doctor are you? I said, no, a PhD, so I'm not that kind of doctor. And she's like, paused. She goes, well, will you become one? I said, no. But in any case, I'm not an MD. I am a FUD. Nonetheless, this is some really important essential information for anybody who studies communication studies. This is particularly appropriate for those of you who are majoring in health communication, but again, it's important for really anybody who is indeed a human being, and even more. I mean, obviously, healthcare stuff when it comes to other situations. My dog, I don't know if I mentioned this, but had sort of a health scare a few months ago, and so I took him to that emergency vet. I can't remember what it's called. It's up the interstate over there, sort of by the Harbison area. And God, they have a great website and have great Facebook presence. And it's just, and I put something on their Facebook, and it was straight back. I mean, it's amazing how folks are using CMC and social networking sites. This is also pertains to dogs and cats and horses and pigs. Okay, so slide 2, basic intro, as all the chapters have had. Again, basically what they're saying in part that when it comes to folks who have researched CMC, a lot of the stuff that they have focused on is the realm of health communication, more particularly the relationship between patient-provider relationships. This is a huge aspect of, again, the study of interpersonal communication and CMC. And also, like a lot of these chapters, the jury is still out. I mean, there's always pros and cons. There's always blessings and curses. So they say it's still being assessed. So again, we just sort of are looking at some of the recent research and then sort of speculating on future research and speculating on all the various implications of all the CMC newness within the health communication field or healthcare field, generally speaking. So what is a provider? That sort of needs to be defined, I suppose. But here, by provider, they say we refer to, this is on, by the way, the bottom of 266. We refer to physicians, physicians extenders, for example, physician assistants or PAs, nurse practitioners, either solo in clinics or in the hospital setting. All providers utilize various electronic forms of information, all intended to make the patient care more manageable and less expensive. And what's a patient? That is us, I suppose. Unless you're also, well, we're all sort of patients and providers all at the same time, if you're a provider, I guess. But a patient, okay. So you hopefully know what that is. So, and then I have Hawkeye from MASH, because sometimes all this stuff does seem sort of mashed up. It's like the whole leadership thing. Are you a leader or you're a follower? You're all everything at the same time. Slide number 3, sort of the general overview. So they have this long-winded history of like the Western civilization that they offer. They talk about how email started in the early 70s. And they actually cite Marshall McLuhan, who's huge in the area of media and communication studies. I don't quite think they understand what he's talking about because he's talking metaphorically. But nonetheless, he says, this is Marshall McLuhan, the new media and technologies by which we amplify and extend ourselves constitutes huge collective surgery carried out on the social body. So not real surgery. Social body meaning people, society, with complete disregard for antiseptics. And the operation, if the operations are needed, the inevitability of infecting the whole system during the operation has to be considered. For operating on society with new technology, it is not the incised area that is most affected. The area of impact and incision is numb. It is the entire system that is changed. So basically what Marshall McLuhan was talking about is how technology is going to impact and reverberate throughout our entire society, how it's going to impact how we see ourselves, how we see relationships generally, how we see community generally, how we how we approach the very nature of reality. That's what he was talking about. So I guess it begs two questions within the healthcare setting, but just know that Marshall McLuhan was not talking specifically about healthcare. He was using a metaphor. Begs two questions here. How have emails, and they go back to emails here, changed the landscape of the provider-patient relationship that was previously constructed and maintained through face-to-face communication? And the second question that has been begged, how have emails encroached on the previously time-constrained relationship between provider and patient? And so they talk a little bit about emails. And so a lot of what I've found out from this chapter, or what I've seen, is that they have actually more questions than answers. But then they go back to the telephone, all the way back to the mid-20s, and talked about how the telephone was useful, except if people were listening in on the party line. And they talked about, there's just all this stuff in here. I thought it was pretty interesting, where it says, despite some concerns about party line eavesdropping and other security issues, by the mid-1920s, the telephone became as commonplace and necessary in physician practices as the stethoscope. This form of mediated communication enabled the provider to enter the patient's home for private and immediate consultation. This is not a true house call. A benefit which far outweighed any security concerns. And so, again, they're going way, way, way back today. And finally, they get to today. So a lot of this stuff, the whole sort of history of the Western society and the whole world, I'm surprised they didn't start with a Big Bang. Here's what they say. It starts with, today. Today, evidence-based studies, i.e. studies based on empirical data, reveal the positive effects emails have on patient satisfaction, safety, and quality of care. And they cite all of these various people. These benefits transcend issues as to whether or not email exchanges between patient and provider should be the primary means of interaction or utilized as complementary to face-to-face communication, which I don't really know what they are talking about here. I guess there's still questions, but basically in a nutshell, email is good, and it's helpful, and it transcends whether people should be interacting face-to-face or through CMC, because email is good. Lots of empirical evidence have said email within the setting is good. It affects patient satisfaction, safety, quality of care. So, yay. Next slide. That's when they move to talking about demographics. And there's lots of stuff in here. Some of it is dated. And so what I have done, and this is one of those links that I was telling you about, I have gotten what I have found as the most up-to-date information on from the U.S. Census Bureau regarding this type of stuff that they're talking about who is using all this stuff and who is not using all this stuff. I'm trying to bring it up right now. So, on this particular site, it's called Computer and Internet Use in the United States, Population Characteristics, and this was issued in May 2013. So it's a year old, but it is, again, the most recent thing that I could find. And when you're talking about census stuff and that type of information, sometimes the previous year is the most recent stuff that you can get. So this stuff is a lot more up to date, in other words, than the book. And I'll let you sort of look at it. It's several different pages, but you can see household computer internet use. There's figure 1 from 84 through 2011. You can look at issues of race and ethnicity and how it has increased. You can look at age and education. There's so many different sort of data sets here.